Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Merry Monday Mail Call Show. I'm back, and so is the still only 35-cent collection. The hunt goes on. So I thought I would pick up with you all this week. I know that last week I said I might be taking a break. I am still going to be taking a break, but it won't be this week. But stay tuned. We've got another video coming. It's taken me an age to get this one done. But I'm really sure you'll enjoy it. All about the magic of UK free gifts that came with comic books, which I'm sure many of you will not have seen and certainly will be very surprised at. But yeah, this week it's going to be still only 35-cent books. I'm a little bit away still from finishing the entire run. So for those of you who don't know, I'm collecting the entire still only 35 cents run of comics. So that's every single comic book from Marvel that came with a still only 35 cents starburst on it, which you'd think is relatively straightforward, but it went from September 1978 till April 1979. And it was a host of different books, loads of different ones. Basically everything from Battlestar Galactica, Spider-Man, Hanna-Barbera, you name it. And you're going to see some of those today. So I want to take you through it, give you a sense of how vast the collection is. I'm just double checking my spreadsheet here. As of today, there are 41 copies left that I need to collect. There were in total 238 still only 35 cents comics. So again, it's one of those, and I'll give you a sense of some of those that I'm missing. Rawhide Kid issue 149, Red Sonja 14, Super Spider Stories 36, Hanna-Barbera TV Stars 4, Hanna-Barbera Scooby-Doo 8. So you get a sense, right? They're not your standard typical fare. So all of your Avengers, all your Spider-Mans, all of those I've got. It's these obscure prints. Kid Colt Outlaw 227 is a good example. And a lot of the Marvel Tales, Marvel Super Action 11 I'm missing. So yeah, it's one of those collections that sounds easy, probably isn't. But anyway, it's great to have you with us today, and I'll get open to the book soon. But let's talk to the chat first and see who's here. Let's have a quick look. Let me change this view. So Derek popped in very early to say hello. How are you, Derek? It's good to see you, mate. And then followed quickly by Richard Westfall. The comic collector coach is here. Hi, how are you, mate? Great to see you. Dope is here from Dotopia is how you say it, I'm sure. But yeah, good to see you, mate. I hope you're well. Great to have you with us. And I think, we've got Bubs. He's always partial to a bit of still only 35 cents in the morning or in the afternoon, depending on where you are. So welcome to you all. It's been absolutely brilliant to have you. Right, let's kick it off. So I'm going to start off with something a little, well, everyone will appreciate, right? I'm pretty sure everyone. There's not a single person in the chat that doesn't care for this character or this book. Let me bring it up for you. And add to stage, make it big. And there it is. So this is number 189. I am hopeful that the light is not too bad. Looks pretty good. Maybe we'll make it full screen today. There you go. How's that? So yeah, this is Amazing Spider-Man 189 with this John Byrne cover. Always partial to a bit of John Byrne. And then I'm sure someone in the chat will pop up. I'm sure at some point Mr. Aiken will turn up now, given we've got a John Byrne book and cover. But we do have Jay Washington 4. Good morning to you. Welcome. And apologies all for the show being just a little bit sort of weird in timings this week. I'm going to settle on 7 a.m., but I forgot that I'd set it for 7 a.m. So apologies for being a little late. But yeah, this is Spider-Man issue 189 with this great J. Jonah Jameson cover with the Mummy and Spider-Man, but that's just the John Byrne cover that grabs me. And of course, it's still only 35 cents at the top here. Inside, written by Marv Wolfman, John Byrne and Jim Mooney on illustration. So John Byrne's still involved, but check out the amazing energized Spider-Man Remco figure there. Did anyone else have that? That is so cool. Feel the burn, exactly. And yes, as you say, Richard, did someone say John Byrne? But yeah, this is, I got this one from Dave and Rachel at Future Past Vintage Collectibles, and they do keep their books pretty good. It doesn't look very John Byrne-esque in terms of its art. Obviously, Jim Mooney has done his best to change it and make it not as dynamic as it normally is. Love this Micronauts advert in here. But you do get a sense of at least the style of that. And then, again, more house ads. Behold the Marvel Galaxy of Superstars. Man Called Nova, Captain Marvel, The Incredible Hulk, Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, and Daredevil. And so there you have it. Won't labour too much on the book itself, but beautiful condition, as you can see. So super happy to pick that one up and grab that. Next, we have Avengers 176. This is the last one in the Avengers that I needed. And all of these I'm collecting in the high grade. So I could just pick them up at low grade, but I'm making sure that they're all in decent condition, or as high condition as I can get. And some of these, as you'll see later, are pretty tricky to get in that super high grade. So this one I think I picked up here in Australia. And again, it's a John Romita Jr. with Terry Austin cover. Really nice one. And then obviously there you go, the Starburst. Then the interior, Jim Shooter on plot, editor-in-chief, David Michelini on art, and then David Wenzel and Pablo Marcos on art. David Michelini on writing duties. Nothing too spectacular to write home about, as you can see here. What we do find, though, is make way for the Spider car. Obviously, a post the Spider-Mobile, and then the Spider utility belt and mini viewer. That's not a bad little ad there. But not as many house ads as you can see in the Avengers. So there you go, issue 176. Hope you get a kick out of that. Now we're going for something a little bit more obscure. This is Laff-a-Lympics, written by Mark Evanier. For a brief period, some of you may or may not know that Marvel had the rights to Laff-a-Lympics and Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So there's a whole host of these coming up to share with you now. But you can see they still have to still only 35 cents. Not in the traditional spot, but I always like them because they are in a slightly different location. But yeah, I've been picking these up, and it's given me an appreciation of the whole Hanna-Barbera piece, as you can see. Here we go. Mark Evanier on writing duties, illustrated by Paul Norris. And pretty cool stuff. Get a nice ad there for Have a Merry Christmas Marvel Star with all of the different books that they're publishing. The calendar from 1979, Son of Origins, Bring on the Bad Guys, that sort of thing. But these are pretty well-drawn comic books. And again, written by Mark Evanier. You can't go too wrong. As I say, one of these strange ones that sort of sat with Marvel for about, I think, 12 months in total. But it's just fun to see these in play. So that's your Laff-a-Lympics. Quickly followed by Marvel Hanna-Barbera Spotlight. Again, still only 35 cents. And this time, we've got a bit of Huckleberry Hound And these are really tough to get in high grade, as you can see here. Like they're okay. I'd say they're in the VF range. I mean, there's got some creasing, which can be sort of pressed out, but I just love picking them up. And as I say, written by Mark Evanier, for the most part, with all of these different cartoon characters. Should really do a book on this, just about how this all came about. But yeah, pretty impressive stuff. I love the pink on this cover as well. Don't know if it comes out so well on the camera, but that is Hanna-Barbera Spotlight issue 1, quickly followed by Hanna-Barbera Spotlight issue 2 with Quick Draw McGraw. And as I say, tough to track these ones down, especially in high grade. So, as I say, I've turned a few of these down in the past where I've seen them, but they're just so ditched I couldn't bear to have them in the collection. So, yes, I'm a grade snob. It doesn't matter. But yeah, you'll find some interesting artists do guest alongside some of these books, and we'll come to that very shortly. But again, Mark Evanier on writing duty there. But again, Mark Evanier and Peter Alvarado there. It's a whole bunch of different characters. So you got Snooper and Blabber, Woggy Doggy and Doggy Daddy. And of course, Quick Draw McGraw. One of my favourite, still only 35 cents ones, is this one, which is Hanna-Barbera Spotlight issue 3 with a different coloured, still only 35 cents, but the Jetsons featuring within, and special guest Yankee Doodle. So very happy to pick that one up. We also have a new friend in the room. Kieran's here. How are you, Kieran? Great to see you. Good morning to you. Hope you're enjoying the books. And as you can see, Jetsons here, written by Mark Evanier again. So very prolific in terms of writing these books. And Tony Strobel on art. And again, a whole bunch of these fabulous house ads on the interior for a lot of Marvel comics there. Let's see who else is featured within, or is it a full-on story? Yeah, once again, Yankee Doodle, art by Pete Alvarado and Carol Lay. And I think that's your lot for today in terms of your Jetsons piece. But there you go. An interesting one. And again, change in the still only 35 cents. This next one is going to surprise a lot of you. So this is Hanna-Barbera TV Stars, issue number 3. With Dynamo, Herculoids, Space Ghost, superhero special, basically, if you will. This one is very, very tough to find, particularly in high grade, and a very unusual book, and you will see why in a minute. Mark Evanier again on writing duties, Paul Norris on this first story on art. But if you dig a little deeper into this book, it has some very interesting precedent, and this is it. Hanna-Barbera's The Herculoids, art by Will Mignot and a very young Dave Stevens. And you can actually really tell, particularly here, some of the Dave Stevens influence here. Dave was just starting at this point, but give you a real sense. This story is partially or drawn by the legend that is Dave Stevens. So again, if you can find this book out in the wild, very hard to find anyway. It's a great one with a great piece of Dave Stevens within, and not many folk have actually seen the interior of this, but there you go. I think the one panel for me that really brings it home on Dave Stevens' style is this panel here. I'll just bring it to the camera so you can see it. That one is a very obviously Dave Stevens look to it. But yeah, this isn't a great one. Hard to find in high grade. Even the two books that I've got aren't in super high grade. But I thought I'd share that one with you because it is a real peculiarity of those Hanna-Barbera books. I have also found recently another Dave Stevens book that I'll be sharing with you on a future Merry Monday Mail Call show, which I don't think a lot of people know about at all. So I'll be highlighting that on another show as well. This is not one of them. This is another still only 35 cents. This is Hanna-Barbera's Yogi Bear, where they're obviously taking the Mickey out of Robin Hood. And again, Mark Evanier on writing duties. This time, Bick and Bick back on art. But again, the artwork and the stories aren't too bad. Nice Shogun Warriors ad there for you. And what else do we have in here? Yep, so there's your still only 35 cents Hanna-Barbera Yogi Bear issue 9. That's a good example there. And as you can see, those Hanna-Barbera books are certainly not super high grade. So yeah, good to hear that Dave Stevens for the win, Bob. I know you love Dave Stevens. Who doesn't love Dave Stevens? But that one looks great. So again, unfortunately now everyone's going to be looking for them, and it'll be increasingly hard for me to find a copy. I did have an option to buy a 9.6 at one point, but didn't pull the trigger, which is one of my big regrets and in terms of not picking that one up. But I am lucky to have a high grade of the book that I will be showing everyone very shortly on another show, which I think a lot of people will start hunting out for. Anyway, this next one, another still only 35 cents, is Machine Man issue 8. And I believe Jack Kirby cover, Bob Wycheck on cover. One of the last that Jack drew and edited and wrote, as you can see here. Lettered and inked by Mike Royer, sadly. But as you can see, beautiful art and story with your Machine Man on the interior. But great to see Jack Kirby at his finest, even at the last. And there's a nice, interesting advertisement. If you thought you knew Ms. Marvel, think again for a new costume. That's an interesting advertisement. And that's what I always love, spinning through these books. Very rarely everyone shows a cover. They don't really look on the interiors. And I always feel that we're doing the artwork and the book itself an injustice if you don't. I mean, otherwise, you'd miss that super hang-ups 25 cents. $3 value for only 25 cents. Look at that. Great little pieces of history. So that was issue 8 of Machine Man. And then I've got issue 9 of Machine Man, which again was not a front cover by Jack Kirby with Bob Layton this time on art. And then the interior pages, again, you get energized Spider-Man and more story from Jack himself. A little bit of Kirby crackle here. If you look there, Kirby crackle being the art style he used to show energy, a bit of stretching this from Machine Man, but always fun, and even shows the original X-51, last surviving model of the Doomed project. And there you have it. I think there you go. And then the next issue would be continued in the pages of the Hulk, and the era when he was doing his still only 35 cents books, but a beautiful looking copy, that one. Talking of Hulk, we've got Marvel Superheroes. So this is a reprint title. Now in the UK, Marvel Superheroes was it was a reprint title, but it did include characters and stories like Captain America. But Marvel Superheroes was a pure reprint title and this is issue 79. Again, these are tough to get because the reprint titles tend to sort of disappear or are in bargain boxes, so they're never in the greatest of condition. But as you can see here, this retells the tale of Hulk 127. But I just love the still only 35 cents and these classic covers. So these are really interesting because you would get a classic cover, which shouldn't be a still only 35 cents, but it's got a 35 cents cover with it. So love it. And there you have it. So story, editor Stan Lee, story by Roy Thomas and Herb Trimpe as the artist. As you can see here, pretty good looking art. Great splash page there for him. That Shogun Warriors ad. And just always great to see Herb's art. And it's no wonder Hulk was such a good title at the time. Very dynamic. And over the years, his artwork has certainly grown on me. Sort of almost like a cross between John Byrne and Jack Kirby. The sort of smoother edges of John Byrne, but the sort of classic action of Jack Kirby. So that's that one. Then we have Marvel 2-in-1. I do already have this, but it's a pence copy, and the completist in me can't allow me to have a pence copy. It has to be the still only 35 cents. So I've completed this one. This is Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing and the Jack of Hearts. And again, this one has Chickstone. I think the cover is also by Chickstone. Penciler Chickstone, Bill Mantlo on writing duties, and Blaisdell as the inker. Again, much the same fare that you would have seen in some of these other books, but always great to flick through them and have a look what's going on. So that's issue 48. Next on the list is this cover, which has always felt to me very striking cover. This is issue 29 of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. As you can see, it's in immaculate condition. It's a Pollard cover with McCloud on inks. And again, it's one of those that when I saw it was available, I had to go and grab it. And we lead straight into the first page, which perfectly illustrates that front cover with the carrion attacking Peter Parker. So Bill Mantlo on writing duties and Jim Mooney on art with inks by Springer. As you can see, great little book. I love Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. As I say, I picked this one up from Dave and Rachel at Future Past Vintage Collectibles. It's in excellent shape. And there's the White Tiger, one of the early appearances of the White Tiger there. Just see if we can see where exactly that is. There you go, just there. Hector Oala. Unfortunately passed in the MCU, which is a real shame. But yeah, as you can see, Dave and Rachel put a nice little backing board in the middle there to support the book because it is so high grade. This one is one of the really tricky books to get. And this one is Rawhide Kid. Now, these were towards the tail end of the run of Rawhide Kid. And this is issue 148. It's a Gene Colan cover with Rubenstein on inks. Beautiful, still only 35 cents in the corner there. Originally presented in Rawhide Kid 96. So they were into reprinting at the time. So it's a drawn by Dick Ayres, inked by Bill Everett, written by Gary Friedrich. And so you're getting a classic tale with a brand new cover. But what's so good about this one is in the middle, we've got a Mark Jewelers insert, which is not something you see every day. So when I saw this, I had to grab it. It's not in mega high grade shape, But whenever it's got a Mark Jewelers insert on the interior, you're not going to turn it up. There's a couple of little small fine spine ticks there. But again, not going to turn down the chance to pick up a copy of Rawhide Kid, especially one that is a Mark Jewelers insert. So that one's great. And as I go, again, checked it off. Some more oddities for you. These are great. Spidey super stories. So they're not set at all. They're like kids' books, not set at all in the Marvel universe, not in the same continuity. Dick Ayer's Western panels are excellent. They are indeed, mate. They are indeed. And I love the fact that it's got reprinted and I'm able to read that and read through it. So very happy with that. Yep. And then you should appreciate, or I hope you appreciate these Spidey super stories, which I say were kids' books presented alongside the Electric Company. Very different, still only 35 cents. You'll notice that these are round, but you still get the same logo. And you get 36 pages, all new, no ads. And this story features the Fantastic Four. And again, in reasonable good shape. These were never really treated that well. You do get these great back covers on these instead of just your standard old house ad. But as mentioned, these are not in the main Marvel continuity, so they could do whatever they liked. So they have these like mini stories. And then in this one, the Scorpion is hunting down Aunt May and getting foiled at every corner. As you can see, you had Bill Mantlo, Deborah November, Michael Saporin as writers. You had Win Martimer, Don Perlin, and Mike Esposito on art. But you get these interesting splash pages and different funny stories, not meant to offend anyone. There's a Ms. Marvel story here alongside Fantastic Four as well. So pretty awesome stuff. That one's a pretty good one, issue 38. But the one I think everyone wants to pick up from this run is, of course, issue 39 with Thanos and Hellcat. Slightly cut off in terms of the still only 35 cents, but I'm not going to complain about this because this is a pricey book. This is a very pricey book, folks. Anyone in the chat want to tell me why this book is so expensive? Because I'll tell you what, I can show you. No, it's not Women's Day 1979. It's not that piece. It's not that Ms. Marvel is appearing. It's not because they've got a buggy in there. It's not. It's totally not. It's because the impossible visitor from outer space came to Earth. No, it's not even that. It's the cat versus Thanos and the first appearance of the Thanos copter. If you haven't already heard, the Thanos copter is perhaps one of the greatest comic book creations and has his first and only appearance, I seem to recall, in this book. And again, you could not have the Infinity Gauntlet storyline without the Thanos copter. He had to get there somehow. And so this is the book you all need. This is the big mega key that we all need. Love that Thanos even labeled his Thanos copter. It's very, very important in case you park late at night and you can't find it. So there it is, folks. The first appearance of Thanos copter. Unfortunately, because it's another timeline, it's not in continuity. But still, if you are a huge fan of rotary blades that carry evil characters that are doomed or wish to wipe out the entire half of human or the life in the universe, this is the book for you. So this is Spidey Super Stories, issue 39. A great book, nonetheless, even if it has the Thanos copter. Wow, copter, exactly. Can't beat the Thanos copter. Next up, we've got Star Wars issue 20. For those of you who haven't seen my Star Wars video, go back and check it out. I'd urge you to do so. There were some more still only 35 cents books in that batch, which I haven't shown today because I showed them in this video. But this is issue 20 of the continuing story, post them finishing in the first 6 issues. And again, Archie Goodwin on the writing duties, Carmen Infantino and Bob Wycheck on art. Some people in the comments weren't too keen on Carmen Infantino's art, and again, at the time, I probably wasn't too, but I'm really grown to appreciate it. So it's great. I always loved this storyline in the Marvel UK books that I used to read, particularly these 2 panels with Chewbacca and Han Solo in sort of danger rooms, if you like, testing themselves out to see if they could actually survive the arena that they were about to enter. And here is said arena with Han doing battle with this creature. And I always remember this really vividly. There's a nice ad for Master of Kung Fu there. And there's Han about to get attacked by said monster, but manages to escape by tripping them over and falling on his own weapon. But there you go. Issue 20 of Star Wars. Got some Thor for you as well. There's a few of Thor here. So this is issue 277 with Hela, the Hordes of Hela. I think this might be a John Byrne cover. No, John Buscema, not John Byrne, sorry. So John Buscema and Tom Palmer on art here with Roy Thomas on writing duties. Yeah, very John Buscema there. A great piece. That's issue 277. I've also picked up a copy of 281 in the Heart of Limbo, The Hammer Vanishes. So this one's good because it's got Mark Gromwald and Ralph Macchio on script, Keith Pollard and Pablo Marcos on art, and you can really see the difference here. Very interesting looking art, very clear lines. Very much enjoying that one. And again, great condition. I'm not sure where I picked these up from. I think I picked these up actually at a comic convention. So I was able to store. There's a little spine tick there. It's not color breaking too much. And then we've got, again, Mark Gromwald, Ralph Macchio on writing duty, Keith Pollard and Pablo Marcos on art. A bit of duality between Thor and Donald Blake there. And just great to pick these up. And as I say, I think I've only got one more Thor to add to the mix. Let me just double check my listing. Yeah, one more, a couple more for 278 and 278 and 279, which is one of the weirder mainstream titles that I haven't been able to pick up. So I thought that was just a little bit unusual. I bet that cover made a few men out of the boys. Which one are we talking about, my friend? You'll have to let me know. We do have another to share with you. This time a CGC slab. So sometimes I'll buy the CGC slab to finish off a collection if it comes up cheap enough. And these did come up cheap enough. So the last 2 books that I'm sharing with you now, basically I saw them at a reasonable price and sort of snapped them up. It looks like there's a little bit of marking on that Comics Code Authority there. But still, it's managed to hit the 9.4. So this is issue 19. It does have a Mark Jewelers insert inside, as you can see. So again, picking up a Mark Jewelers, still only 35 cents whenever I can. is a great one there. As I say, newsstand, which is a par for the course for a Market Jewelers. But yeah, Archie Goodwin store and Carmen Tantino and Bob Wycheck cover and art. And then to close us out for today's show, it's been an absolute joy hosting you all, having you part of the chat. I bet that back cover made a few men out of the back cover. Which one are we talking? Let's see. I think I know the one you mean. I'm assuming the Read the Spider Stories one with Captain Marvel and Ms. Marvel, sorry, and Hellcat. Very good. And then last but not least, the book that would have been on the thumbnail. Now, this one has a little story all of its own as well. This is X-Men 116. Bought this off, I think, Comic Connect. It came up and I saw it, and I've been missing this. This was the one book out of the X-Men that I was missing, so I needed to pick it up. But then what some of you will know that I am collecting my X-Men collection, particularly the John Byrne, Chris Claremont era. I've got most of my books signed by Chris Claremont. And John Byrne and Terry Austin, depending on, they're usually on the inside cover. Saw this available, 9.6. It's signed by Chris Claremont, on March in 2018. But it was also signed by Terry Austin in April in 2013. What's great about this is it's not an authenticated one. It's actually a properly witnessed in both instances. So on the internal page, you've got Terry Austin's signature, and on the external page, you've got Chris Claremont. But again, it's got a very different looking Still Only 35 Cents. Some of these Still Only 35 Cents came in different colors. But yeah, this one's a great one because it finished off my Still Only 35 Cents that I needed in super high grade for the X-Men. So hopefully you get a kick out of that today. Enjoyed checking out the books. There are some more. As I say, there are 41 more of these things I've got to find. So I am really looking forward to continuing the hunt for some of those books. I will leave a link to the full list of books that I'm still looking for down below in the comments. So if you want to check it out, and if you ever see anything in super high grade, please let me know. I know a number of dealer friends have got that list and are basically pouring it over. I just got a set of Tarzans, even though I already own them, even higher version of Tarzans coming from Dave and Rachel at Future Past Vintage Collectibles. So, but as yet, I will definitely put that link. In fact, I'll put the link in the chat as well so everyone can check it out. Let me just pop it in before we say goodbye. I will be back next week. Even though I said I was going on a break, I am going to be around next week for one show. The week after won't be a show the week after, but there will be next week. I would like your thoughts in the comments down below on which one I should do. I do have a set of Jack Kirby books that you probably haven't seen, or if you have, you probably haven't even looked to them in any great detail, but they are one of his classic books. So I thought I might do a bit of Jack Kirby. Alternatively, I do have some more Dave Stevens stuff to share with you if you're interested. So again, it's going to be either Jack Kirby or Dave Stevens. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Which ones do you want to see me cover off next week? And with that, it's been an absolute pleasure seeing you all this week. Loved having you all on the show. Very, very busy. Hopefully you enjoy these books. And as I say, check out the Still Only 35 Cents list. Have a great week. And before we go, I do want to say one thing, which is super, super important. Very, very sad news to hear about Papa Willie passing last week. just wanted to let everybody know that my thoughts are with his family, and obviously he was a great member of the community. So I feel it is needed to sort of have a shout out wherever you are, Matthew. I hope you're reading comics. I hope you're having a great time, mate. It was an absolute pleasure to get to know you and hang out on streams. So thanks very much. And with that note, I will leave you all to your weeks, and please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all very, very soon.